And we continue at 1:06 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's in Culver City.
John, incredibly, former L.A. Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa is still running for governor, and I guess his new strategy is to show you how fiscally responsible he would be with California's budget by his incredibly low-budget campaign videos.
Today I'm asking you to join our campaign.
Did he film that in a men's room?
This wasn't even shot on an iPhone. I think this was shot on a Nokia.
Today I'm asking you to join our campaign because together we could do big things in California. I know because we've done it before.
No one remembers who you are, Tony.
So is this one of these videos that he's putting out there to raise money before the deadline?
This one's after the deadline. This is for the new deadline.
Well, typically when a businessman runs for office, they say, we need to run the state like it's a business. Well, if you're Antonio Villaraigosa and you want to run the state like your business, in his case, that means Herbalife.
As Speaker of the California State Assembly, I expanded health care for more than 1 million children. We passed landmark gun safety legislation.
Wasn't this 25 years ago?
At least.
Tony, you old.
And as mayor of Los Angeles, we made LA a national leader in tackling climate change.
Oh, boy.
With today's big deadline, I'm asking you to join our campaign. Chip in, donate. We're just getting started.
Yeah, this campaign's not lasting much longer.
I think you might be right. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. It is our pleasure to welcome our next guest to the program. He is the host of Fox News at Night, which airs on the Fox News Channel at 8 p.m. Pacific here in Los Angeles, San Francisco, and all over the West Coast. You can follow him on X at Trace Gallagher. Trace Gallagher, welcome.
John, great to be with you. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thanks so much for stopping by. And I have to say, I'm so happy your program is on the air because for so often you watch cable news and basically the entire world, whether it's the morning shows, which air at 3 o'clock in the morning here, or the primetime lineup, which airs at 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon or evening here, it's all geared towards people on the East Coast. And people on the West Coast, they're either asleep or they're not even home from work yet. And by the time we get home and we get settled in and we want to find out what's going on in the world, it's reruns. Many of the cable programs put reruns of the shows that aired earlier in the day on the East Coast, on the West Coast, during prime time or beyond. What's so great about your show at 8 o'clock at night is that we get home, we get settled in, we cook our dinner, we're trying to figure out what happened in the world that day, what's going on right now, and your show is live where you provide analysis of what happened earlier in the day and you provide breaking news as to what's going on in the evening because, of course, as we learned with the rioting on the streets of Los Angeles, the news doesn't stop at 8 o'clock Pacific. It keeps going, and you're live and you're keeping us informed.
Yeah, I mean, that's the theme of the show is that we are live and we start the show every night by saying it's 11 o'clock in the East, it's 8 o'clock here in Los Angeles, and we're live. And, you know, you get people all the time across the country, they'll come up to you and say, so tell me, you're on at 8 o'clock in L.A., what time are you on? I'm in Florida. And I said, well, it's live, so it's 11 o'clock in Florida, which is why you really have to hammer the point home to let people know that you are on. It's live. We say 1,000 times each show that it's live just so people realize that, you know, this is the latest news. And it's the only national cable newscast that's actually based in Los Angeles. So, you know, I was just kind of listening to your intro there about fixing California and the whole idea, John, between you've been on, so you know, it's the whole concept of being able to bring guests on who are privy to California laws. They know what's going on in the state. They are either Democrats who believe that things need to change, they're Republicans who used to be Democrats who believe that things need to change, or they're in the process of changing things. So they become very good guests. And so we have a lot of focus on California-based topics. I mean, the stuff that happens here is crazy. Just this year alone, you talk about the fires, which you have, delved into many, many times, and on, from the lawsuit this week, the federal government, Trump administration going after Los Angeles for their sanctuary city policies. And so there is always national news happening here. And it was kind of funny when you were talking about, John, the whole idea of the former mayor of Los Angeles running for governor and how maybe his campaign is a little low budget. And it's funny because, we were doing a story last night about how Kamala Harris is trying to kind of, she's trying to throw some things out there and see if maybe there's a chance she could run for governor. And the response has been lukewarm at best. And so now there's this worry that Kamala Harris just doesn't resonate. And nobody's really excited about having Kamala Harris run for governor. I mean, they've still got this kind of bad campaign theme vibe from the fall that Kamala Harris ran. They're like, don't really care about Kamala Harris. And the big money donors are kind of the same. They don't really care. Right now they don't. Maybe that changes late this summer and the fall. Maybe it changes. But for now, there's a lot of, Kamala Harris, governor, what's going to change? What is she going to do to make this state better? Even the people with the money who normally give nothing but toward Democratic campaigns are like, you know what? I would like to know what is going to change. And the answer at this point seems to be not very much.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because I spoke with a friend who works in Democratic Party politics, and he told me that he believed that Kamala Harris would run for governor because she doesn't want to go out a loser. She doesn't want to go out as the candidate that gave Donald Trump a second term, 4 more years in the White House. And if she goes out and runs for California governor and she wins, that's a big job in the biggest state in the union, and it kind of allows her to hit the reset button on her Wikipedia page, and it adds something to the end of her political career so she doesn't go out a loser and then just sit on corporate boards or teach classes at colleges or fly around the globe giving speeches. But then we had Willie Brown on the program, the former mayor of San Francisco, and I asked him, what do you think she's going to do? And he said that he told her that she shouldn't accept the vice presidency because she wasn't ready for it. He said the cookie needed to bake in the oven a little bit longer, and he believes that she would be in stronger position now had she not taken it and been forced into the position of being the Democratic nominee in an abbreviated race. He said if she decides to run for governor, he believes it would not be to rehabilitate her Wikipedia page. He thinks that she would immediately start running for president should she win the office of governor, and he said that she would be the favorite and no one else would be able to touch her.
Yeah. And Willie Brown, for context, is the great mentor to Kamala Harris. And so when he says something like that, you got to believe him. And I think he's right. I mean, I think everybody realizes that she wasn't ready to become the vice president. And when you look at her presidential campaign, she certainly wasn't ready to become the president. I mean, Kamala Harris has a lot of work to do to become a great campaigner, much less a great president. She just couldn't quite get it together. And even in recent speeches, because we like to run them just because they're entertaining, she's still not saying anything. She still will go into a speech and, come up with 2 or 3 phrases and then mix and match them and come up with this word salad answer all the time. It doesn't matter if she's in, the local Rotary Club or she's speaking before, the statewide political platform that's going to get her to the governorship. She's just not very compelling because it sounds like she's not really doing her homework. It sounds like she just doesn't take the time to really prepare for whatever speech she's going to make. So I think Willie Brown is right. Had she not jumped at the chance to be the vice president, she would now be a very powerful person in California as a senator. And she would be probably far and away the front runner to maybe be the next Democratic nominee for president or California governor. By a long stretch would have kind of been the natural transition for her to become the president. But now you think you go in as the vice president, you didn't do a very good job. You ran for president, you didn't do a very good job. And now you want to run for governor. I'm not sure if you're going to do a good job, but will you have the money that you really need to run for governor? And will you have the big Democratic machine behind you? And the answer is probably yes, but not wholeheartedly. And if you don't have the machine behind you wholeheartedly, what happens if you lose? What happens if she runs for governor and she loses? Then where does the Wikipedia page go? I mean, what's first, the loss in the presidential race or the loss in the gubernatorial case? It's a kind of a toss-up, John, right? You have no idea what the future holds for her, but it ain't pretty, and it ain't political after that.
In a weird sort of way, I think she's probably the most beatable Democratic candidate for governor. And I say that despite the fact that the Democratic Party just spent over $1 billion promoting her nationwide. But then you also have to say, well, they also spent $1 billion attacking her and tearing her down. And if you read those books about what happened in the 2024 election, whether it be Jake Tapper's or the book Fight, which was my favorite of the two, basically they give the answer as to why she didn't win the election is she never had a reason for running. She ran because Joe couldn't do it, and she was next in line, and they didn't have enough time to have a primary or some sort of process at their convention to pick a more electable candidate. And she never really answered that question. She never answered the question why she wanted to be the next president of the United States. And you look at her right now as she prepares to run for governor, and whenever she's interviewed or someone close to her is interviewed about it, it's, well, it would be good for her career. It would be good for her biography. It would be good to position her as the foil against Donald Trump. It would be good to position her as someone who would be a national Democratic voice on all of the issues that are facing the country. But it's never, well, she thinks she can get the bullet train on track. She thinks she can get the budget on track. She thinks it will be able to buy insurance if she gets elected because she knows what to do to fix that industry in the state. She has no plan for California. If she were to run for office, it would be for the same reasons that she ran for president. It's because it's the most attainable thing, or in her belief, the most attainable, highest office that's available to her. And you look at what was in Politico this morning, where former Orange County Congresswoman Katie Porter now says she doesn't care if Kamala's getting in or not. She's going to continue to run for governor, and she thinks she's going to win. That's different from what she was saying before when she said if Kamala were to get in, she would probably find something else to do with her time. Now she's in it to win it. So it seems like I'm not the only one on planet Earth who believes that Kamala is beatable. It seems like many of the Democratic candidates running for governor also seem to be buying into that too.
Yeah, and it's not even that she's beatable. The question now becomes, Kamala Harris is no longer just a gimme. I mean, the Katie Porter who made the statement that you talked about where maybe she does something else thought, like the rest of the world thought, on November 15th or January 1st, that all of a sudden Kamala Harris was just a gimme. She's going to, certainly if she runs for governor, well, they just anoint her. There's no race. She doesn't have to run. It's just going to be, they just hand it to her. And they say, oh, thank you, Kamala, hand it to her. And you're right. She's never wanted to be vice president, or at least it seems, never wanted to be, trying always to build her career like she's going somewhere with it. And so I think now the reviews are coming back in, and somebody like Katie Porter, who's got good research and she's got a good team, is looking at all this information out there, and she's thinking, well, wait a minute. All of a sudden, it looks like Kamala Harris doesn't have ownership over every major donor in California. It looks like Kamala Harris isn't going to be, sworn in regardless of who else runs. So I think they're all realizing, I talked to some of the candidates on the Republican side of this, and they're of the same mind thinking, wait, this whole thing where they think it's automatically going to be a Democrat, it might not happen like that. You have some people that are about to throw their hats in the ring that might change the whole dynamic of the California governor race. And I think people are now realizing that Kamala Harris is a weak candidate. And how is she going to be more impressive running back and forth to the 57 counties of California than she was trying to run to all the states and win some votes of people that she could convince that she really had, she really had the bona fides to be able to become the president of the United States. And I think the answer is the same now as it was 6 months ago, 8 months ago, 10 months ago, which is that she's not a very good candidate. And people are figuring that out. And they now think, regardless if she gets in, she's going to need money, and she's going to need to change her shtick because she is very beatable. We've learned that.
Earlier this week, we learned that California Governor Gavin Newsom has filed a lawsuit against the Fox News Channel over remarks that your colleague Jesse Waters made about a phone call that allegedly happened between the California governor and President Trump. We know that Gavin Newsom references Fox News all of the time. He seems to watch all of the programs on the Fox News Channel, knows what's going on Fox News every night, did a sit-down with Sean Hannity, I think a couple of different times, debated Ron DeSantis on your airwaves. How does it feel to be the guy that's entertaining Gavin Newsom at night when he's sipping on his plump jack wine and taking it easy in his easy chair?
We go after him all the time because he's easy prey. I mean, the whole thing is we go after Gavin Newsom because you talk about a gimme. Gavin Newsom's a gimme. I mean, we were talking about last night, Gavin Newsom coming out with this, I don't know what it was, TikTok or whatever social media, X that he's on. He comes out with this thing saying, why are these ICE agents wearing masks? Why can't they just man up and woman up and go out there and do their jobs without masks? What are they hiding? And you're like, well, the violence rate against these ICE agents is up 700%. People are doxing them. People are doxing them and their families, outing them, and you want them to just go out there and show their face to the world and have more people on social media dox them, and the governor of California is saying, I don't know why they're wearing masks. That's the silliest thing I've ever heard in my life. And you think this is the guy who really claims that he could be in contention for the presidency. That you talk to him, he does interviews, and he's like, yeah, I think I'd be a great president. Do I want to run? Well, I don't know. I haven't made that decision. Of course he made the decision. He made the decision a year ago that he was going to run for president. And his whole thing against Fox News is that he believes that we are taking him out of context and we are misrepresenting who he is. This whole minimum wage thing that he fought for the fast food industry, right? We had all these studies, national studies, state studies, that said that putting this at $20 an hour was going to hurt the fast food industry, and it did. But every time we do a story on that, we get 10 calls from Gavin Newsom's office. We need to retract this. You got to retract this. This is wrong. This study's wrong. These people don't know what they're talking about. You got to retract it tonight. We're like, we're not retracting anything. These are legitimate studies that have shown, and you can just do the number of fast food restaurants that have shut down since this went into effect, and it's pretty apparent that this is not working for the fast food industry. It's not working. Ask Jack in the Box what's happening and where they're going, and they'll give you an earful to why they're closing most of their stores.
Trace Gallagher, host of Fox News at Night, an excellent program, particularly for those of us on the West Coast. We have live news coverage with Trace and all of your regular guests on at 8 o'clock in the evenings on the Fox News Channel. You can follow Trace on X at Trace Gallagher. Trace, thanks so much for stopping by.
Thanks for having me, John. I appreciate it very much.
If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, now that we've crossed the halfway point of today's show, if you want to continue listening to us after we sign off at 3, that's easy to do.
All you got to do is search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's the Apple Podcasts app, iHeart, Spotify. Search for The John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. You can download all the episodes. More and more people these days are downloading and listening to their podcasts on YouTube. And guess what?
Do a Google on YouTube.
If you search for The John Phillips Show on the YouTubes, you'll see it all right there. There's no video. It's just Johnny's face, and you'll see some squiggly lines that represent the audio when it's moving. So that's fun. I don't know. Download it and share it and like and subscribe.
I want to know where all the cholos are at.
And Randy, on Saturday, that was our first show on the airwaves in Fresno.
We are now on every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. on KMJ in Fresno. It's AM 580 in the Central Valley and 105.9 FM. That's a huge station, and we're so excited to be on in the Central Valley. You can stream it live if you're outside of the listening area by going to KMJNow.com. KMJNow.com and download the KMJ Now app. I did, so I could listen to it because I'm a narcissist.
In the meantime, what do you say we make a couple of listeners very happy?
790 KABC welcomes Oliver Anthony Music at the Pacific Amphitheater at the OC Fair on August 1st. It's all part of the Toyota Summer Concert Series. Tickets on sale now at packamp.com. But right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-795-2222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. All concert tickets include admission to the OC Fair. Tickets furnished by the Pacific Amphitheater. Good luck dialing.
Coming up after the news at 2, we're going to speak with the former mayor of Cudahy, who has a lot to say about a certain someone who's currently on the council.
Fighting our turn.
But first, it's time to open up the California Crime Blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And Randy, I'm already starting to notice a theme. Now that we're getting close to the 4th of July, it seems like every day we have a new installment of the blotter that involves fireworks.
That's because fireworks are incredibly dangerous in this tinderbox we call California, and some local law enforcement are sick of it. So, San Jose made a big bust. Here is ABC 7 in the Bay Area.
More than 3,000 pounds of illegal fireworks and homemade explosives are now off San Jose streets. On Friday, police announced a series of raids and arrests.
You know, fireworks are not heavy. 3,000 pounds is a lot of them.
How many truckloads is that?
In the June 23rd operation that we conducted, the IEDs that we located contained hundreds.
Wait, they're calling the IEDs now?
Well, they are military-grade munitions.
I guess they are. They're improvised explosive devices.
The IEDs that we located contained hundreds, if not thousands times more explosive powder than legally allowed.
In one case...
What's the difference between this and just bomb making?
No, that's what they are. If you find a teenager or a group of teenagers with a van full of fireworks, there's really not a whole lot of difference between them and Timothy McVeigh.
Well, you remember what happened, I think it was 2 or 3 summers ago in South Los Angeles, where the LAPD found this house that was manufacturing just tons and tons of illegal fireworks. So they brought out this special van that they were going to use to dispose of the fireworks, but the van malfunctioned and it blew up the whole neighborhood.
Oh, yeah. Apparently, you could hear it from far away.
In one case, undercover officers posed as buyers. That investigation looked...
You know, there are certain undercover operations that are more fun than others.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if they force the guys who go to the massage parlors to do this one, too. Where if you take the good, you got to take the bad along with it.
Now, how undercover are they going? Like, are they putting on accents? Are they creating a character for this story? Because I have a friend that used to sell fireworks up in Alaska, and the typical illegal fireworks buyer is a guy on meth that likes to say, "Hey, you got anything that go boom?"
Okay, now how about the sellers, though? How many missing digits do they have?
Well, you had to know they tried out the product.
In one case, undercover officers posed as buyers. That investigation...
It's like if you go to a speedway in the deep Inland Empire in the city of Paris, everyone working there is missing at least one limb.
In one case, undercover officers posed as buyers. That investigation led to the seizure of 1,300 pounds of dangerous fireworks and explosives that were in a storage unit off West Capitol Expressway. Officers also have a plan to catch people setting off illegal fireworks. San Jose Fire says police are already deploying drones to be on the lookout.
Oh, boy, they're droning it now.
They're using AI technology.
They will be strategically in areas already. They will be launching. If they see fireworks, they can zoom. They actually can move very quickly over neighborhoods.
I do like this. I like this because they will actually already have the cameras pointed downwards, and they could probably zoom and enhance and actually have evidence of who's launching it, because the problem is when you blow up a firework, there's no evidence left to figure out that you're the one that did it. Of course, the other problem is it now gives them a target.
Well, and this is going to be one of these things where if they actually aggressively go after these people and prosecute them, they're all going to have the same response. Well, we didn't know it was illegal, and why are you coming down so hard on us?
and start to observe. They will be taking video.
On Thursday,
of course, the video is going to lead to a fine. So,
yes.
On Thursday, San Francisco police officers found rockets, barrel bombs, and hundreds of other illegal fireworks that were inside a stolen U-Haul.
Okay. If bomb is part of the title, that's not a firework. And if the U-Haul is stolen, what does that tell you?
In Alameda, a tip led police officers to the county's largest fireworks seizure so far this year. More than 1,500 fireworks were found in storage units. Some boxes had the words "Threat to Society" printed on them.
Was that the brand?
Can you imagine going to the California Secretary of State saying, hey, I'd like to open up a business? Oh, yeah, what do you do? Well, we sell illegal fireworks. What would you like to name your business? Threat to Society.
And, it's one thing that we have all the sellers of this, but they wouldn't be here if there wasn't this overwhelming demand by idiots that live in this state that want to blow stuff up.
And we have a huge supply of idiots.
I would say California has more idiots per capita than any other state.
Well, we have more of everything because we're the biggest state in the union. But the difference between our idiots and the idiots in, let's say, New Hampshire are that our idiots burn down the state when they decide to light the bombs.
We spoke with Deputy Chief Mark Shumay with the Santa Clara County Fire Department.
Over my 22 years, it's gone from, firecrackers or bottle rockets, that sort of thing. That's what we used to see when I was first hired. And now you're getting the big ground-launched fireworks.
He said it's not just...
Yeah, they're bombs at this point. We have to stop calling them fireworks. They're explosives.
Oh, these quote-unquote fireworks could take out nuclear sites in Iran.
He said it's not just the fire danger they pose, but the injuries they can cause. Deputy Chief Shumay says leave it to the professionals.
They're everywhere around. I mean, there's really no excuse to not go to a show if you really want to see some good fireworks.
San Francisco, Antioch, San Jose, and Mountain View are just some of the cities with professional shows. In the South Bay, Lauren Martinez, ABC 7 News.
There you go. So the Bay Area is making lots of fireworks busts, but I guarantee you're going to still see a lot of illegal fireworks.
Oh, my God. They melted the basketball court.
That was 4th of July, 2022.
Oh, yes. And the next 4th of July is right around the corner. 800-222-5222 is telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. Coming up after the news at 2, we're going to speak with the former mayor of Cudahy, who has a lot to say about a certain member of the council.
Yo, where my cholos at?
I want to know where all the cholos are at.
Also, we have some breaking news from the world of crime and punishment as the jury in the P. Diddy trial has reached a verdict. That verdict has not yet been read in court, but the jury has allegedly come to a unanimous decision, so that news could drop any time.
So right now, we didn't know if Diddy did it or Diddy didn't do it.
Well, kind of. But the verdict will be read at some point in the not-too-distant future. Okay, let's reopen the California Crime Blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And Randy, this edition takes us to San Diego County.
In La Mesa, a bar got robbed. And then 5 days later, that same bar got robbed.
Apparently, someone thinks that bar is sitting on a bunch of cash.
It was the same guy twice. For more, here is ABC 10 in San Diego.
I'm ABC 10 News reporter Ryan Hill. I'm here in Dino's Pub in La Mesa. This place had not only one, but two break-ins happen in a span of 5 days. The owner said they got the notifications on their phone when it all happened. While nothing was stolen, there was
Boy, these security apps are great at telling you that the crime's already over.
You think it was Norm or Cliff?
While nothing was stolen, there was definitely some property damage, and their peace of mind was violated.
Whoa!
Was that a bottle shattering?
When my wife opened the camera app and saw somebody in there, it made the hair on our arms go up.
Security cameras captured that chilling moment happening last Saturday for Dean Velasco and his wife. Someone had broken into their La Mesa bar.
The suspect broke through the front door, went around to the cash register. He was in here for almost 2 minutes the first time. He shook the registers, opened them up, and he came over to the ATM, shook the ATM.
What have we said over and over again on this show about ATMs?
Do not put them in your bar. Do not put them in your convenience store. Do not put them in your marijuana dispensary.
Well, and if this is a dive bar that has an ATM, I know exactly what's going on here. I know some people think that the credit card companies rip you off with the fees, and I guarantee this bar has an ATM because it's cash only. Well, this is what you open yourself up to because you won't take the credit cards.
If you want a security system that works and you own a bar, what you need is Captain Morgan there to fire off a cannon.
And then he left.
No cash was taken, but notice how Dean said the first time. Just 5 days later, after putting an anti-pry plate on the front door of the bar, his cameras caught 2 more people breaking into his bar again on Thursday.
I guess the anti-pry plate is crap.
Well, they knew there was money left in that ATM.
You know, it's stories like this which make all of these security companies have to work that much harder because these things are not working.
None of them do, though. It's not just that. It's the safes. How often do we do stories about safes that are broken into and everything inside the safe is stolen? You have all of these doors that have a million different locks on them, and then a Kia goes driving through it, and the door does nothing to stop the Kia. If you have criminals that are determined to break into your place, they're going to do it.
You know, over the years, there's only been one thing that has really successfully prevented so many car thefts: the club. We need one of those for doors for bars.
Well, is it the club, or is it that every car that's older than 1984 is the only car that has them left?
My brother-in-law in Texas, he got his car stolen, and when he finally got it back and he finally got it repaired, the first thing he bought was the club.
Have you ever seen a car with the club on it that's not older than you?
Typically, that is the norm. Typically, it is a red 1970s Volvo.
Yep.
But you know what? They're not stealing it.
They did fix it up.
This would be a perfect time to say the California Crime Blotter is brought to you by the club.
Hear that, Sales?
They did fix it up. Yeah.
3:01 a.m., I got the exact same call that I got on Saturday, and we opened up the cameras to see the exact same guy with a buddy inside, actively trying to drill open the ATM.
Boy, it sounds like a dentist's office.
Same drill. So he went in, was unsuccessful at breaking open the ATM, comes back 5 days later with a buddy and power tools.
He's getting into that ATM whether the owner wants him to or not.
This is the kind of crap you have to put up with because you're too cheap to have credit cards.
Just take the American Express.
I want my 4X points at that bar.
Again, nothing was taken, but being hit twice does come at a cost.
Now I have to replace the door with a $2,500 door.
Dean tells me to get
Yeah, they could break into that one too.
Oh, yeah, especially if a Kia is driving through it.
Dean tells me to get a new used ATM is around $3,000.
We're at least.
Wait, he has to pay for the ATM?
I thought they paid you.
This seems like such a bad idea.
Just take the cards.
We're at least $5,000.
You know what? It's 2025. Take Venmo.
We're at least $5,000, $6,000 in the hole, and we just want to feel safe.
La Mesa PD tells ABC 10 News it's investigating the burglaries at Dino's, and it appears to be the same burglars in both incidents. We also asked if these recent incidents are tied to other recent burglaries in the San Diego area. The department tells us it believes they're connected.
Put a lot of heart.
Well, these guys don't stop at one.
No, and it sounds like you should have the motivation to catch these guys.
Put a lot of heart and soul into this place. It just feels violation. It feels like you're violated.
Ryan Hill, ABC 10 News.
So there you go. The bar in La Mesa in San Diego County that got burglarized twice in the span of the week Because, well, there's an ATM there, and that ATM has money. I want me a bunch of 20s.
It's Tuesday. Yesterday, we did a crime blotter story of the same jewelry shop in El Monte being hit twice. And today, we did a story about a bar in San Diego County being hit twice.
And I'm sure later today, on whatever best of I put together, you'll hear the story of the 7-Eleven in Oakland that got hit twice in one day.
We have a lot of frequent flyers out there. But none of them have any luggage.
Grab your punch cards, everybody.
I wonder if they get advantage miles every time they do it. All right, we've got one more hour coming up on the John Phillips Show. Coming up next, we're going to speak with the former mayor of Cudahy, who has a lot to say about a current councilwoman who's generating a lot of negative attention for the city.
I want to know where all the cholos are at.